Before I can spray paint the car, I'm going to have to remove the transmission, suspension and steering. I'd left these in up until now so that the car could be pushed in and out of the garage. Now we're getting fully committed. If I didn't have an impact gun, I would have taken out these split pins and loosened off these drive shaft ends, but I should be okay to do this with the car off the ground using the gun. As you can see, I'm quite comfortable working with the car at this level. I think I'd be lost with a lift, which wouldn't fit in my garage anyway. These are extremely old parts that I had just stuck on the car in order to get it registered. They were actually put on the trailer when we went over to Germany to collect the car. I really did buy just a shell. These must be the hubs from the original 1980s donor rally car. That's a wheel spacer from it, but those wheel studs instead of bolts are the dead giveaway. It also has the calipers for the ventilated discs. I might have better uprights to fit along with my competition shocks. I loosened the nut on the tie rod end there with a spanner just to make sure that the center wasn't spinning. Now it's loose, I'll continue quicker with the socket. Now I'm using a screwdriver just to save the top of the rubber boot. I hate replacing ball joints just because of the condition of the boot. I may be fitting new ones to the rally car, but I have a couple of these Kadetts, so they just get passed down. I like this ball joint separator because the normal wedge type ones that you drive in with a hammer usually wreck the boot. There's always a moment of suspense just before it pops. Action replay. So now with it loose, the ball and threads are turning, but by holding it up into the tapered hole, it stops it spinning. And I can remove the nut which I left on to protect the threads. That's why I'm hitting a strong part of the arm rather than on the ball joint. I'll leave the nut on there, then turn the whole strut to expose the lower ball joint. I'll wire brush the threads here as much as I can. That's a very dead CV boot clamp. This car hasn't been used on the road in over 3 years and was stored outdoors for about a year of that. The legs of the pin straightened. I just have to grab the head now from the other side and pull it out. Getting a bit of leverage there. Here we go. Not the original split pin. The Opel ones had a clip that went through and then over the top as well to prevent it sliding out. Loosen this one off with the spanner. Then by pushing back the CV joint, there's enough space for my splitter to get in. Tap it in there. And tighten it up. Handy that it's a 19 socket size. If you feel the tension is getting a bit too crazy, you can actually give it a tap on the end, and sometimes the shock is enough to make it pop. There we go. Same thing here, hold it in from underneath so that it doesn't spin, and remove the nut. Little tap then to break the grip of the tapered shaft. And then take the hub off the CV joint, and I'll put that nut back on so I don't lose it. The brakes are still attached, so I'll have to take this hose off the caliper, and I'm blowing away any dust so I don't contaminate the inside of the caliper, and I have a bucket there to catch any brake fluid that might still not have drained out of the system. So I have an Allen bolt of the same thread just to put in there with the washer to stop it leaking and keep it clean inside there, because I will probably reuse these calipers. Put a bit of tape on the brake hose there to stop it leaking all over the floor. And now with the disc supported on the rubber pad of my jack, I can loosen off the top two nuts on the strut. Remove them by hand, and then lower the jack, and out the whole thing comes in one piece. It was the same procedure on the other side, and I'm just removing those top two nuts again. I think the strut top on this one is just slightly bent, so it was catching as it was going out. A little jiggle. And there it goes. Okay, I'll remove the drive shafts now. They're resting on the outer wishbones. Bucket again to catch the nasty gear oil. The advantage to having had a few of these cars over the years is I've got a spare end to stick in to the differential there. Pretty old one I won't be using again, so I don't really mind hammering the casing. Handy to have. I think the other ends are in a hub somewhere holding that together, so a car can be pushed around without a gearbox. Did a good job catching the fluid, and I have the other one to put in there. A few more taps and that'll stop the drip. Not only am I preventing a mess, I'm also preventing any corrosion inside the gearbox while it's stored. Not 100% sure this one's going back on, although at least it has been recently proven. Disconnecting the gear linkage. Had to splay the clamp with the flat screwdriver. There's an earth strap here. Don't think that's a very original one. Not from this age Kadett or Astra anyway. I'll leave the bolt there for now, out of habit. I'll loosen off the front gearbox mounting bracket. I think that's the way it went in when I was rapidly assembling this car for its registration inspection. Supported on the jack now. And then removing the two bolts on the back. Okay, I'm holding it there just by the clutch lever. I'll just lower down on my jack now. I can just about take the weight of it with one arm. I'll drag it off the jack with two so that it fits under that front valence. I'll remove the steering rack and lower wishbones and a few other bits and pieces next time.